Hello again, and welcome to another edition of Media Watch. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait.
I'm Bob Anthony. Good to see you.
As always, and we're pre-taping the Thursday before our Monday air date. This is brought to you by the good graces of Manhattan Neighborhood Network and EVT Educational Productions. And Bob, we might as well try to do kind of some analysis on what's been breaking and what's serious.
Right.
And we'll do the best to see what we can fit in our 28 minutes.
Right, without going over the stuff that the national network overcovers.
Right. But the key one that we at least need to talk about, New Hampshire primary and what that means for black voters, and of course, Attorney General Barr and the Justice Department. Those for me are the two big stories that are not going away.
Right.
And so why don't we start with the Justice Department, because that one I think is significant to impeachment, post-impeachment. How much stuff can the country stand with this administration?
Thanks for putting it that way, because and I'll let you get into the description. What this basically tells America is that the administration learned nothing from the impeachment process. It had no effect on the way this administration wants to do things. It will continue to be arrogant. It will continue to flout the law. It will continue to ignore the law. And so, we were hoping that it would have some effect. With the Attorney General, with
William Barr.
Yes. It just shows that, no, it had no effect. But go ahead.
For background, folks, what we're stumbling over, because it's unfathomable to any person that cares about how the Justice Department functions. Black people in this country have always had problems with the Justice Department in this country, okay? FBI, from COINTELPRO to the way they decimated the Black Panther Party and a whole bunch of stuff that took place. All of it illegal, all of it violating people's constitutional rights. We know we have this history. However, there are times when the Justice Department actually functions for the rest of the country in the best interest.
There have been some admirable moments, yes.
And for the most part, the way it was originally designed, it was supposed to have us function as a country of laws, not a country run by people that people kowtow to. No dictators, no autocratic rules, no kings, no whatever.
Right, not run by law, not by ego, not by the partisan politics. But go ahead.
Bingo. And that's a good way to phrase it. Well, when Attorney General Barr was brought up for confirmation, Bob and I, right here on Media Watch, talked about Barr's history, how negative it was, what it would mean for the Justice Department about having an impartial Justice Department. We actually waved a red flag, if I remember correctly, Bob.
Simply because of the road to this Attorney General. The rocky road to nominating this one. But go ahead, yes.
Barr's record was bad. He was bad with Iran-Contra. He was bad telling George H.W. Bush to pardon all the Iran-Contra people. I mean, his track record was terrible. And guess what? He wrote a memo, in a sense saying, well, this president can do anything he wants to do, as his auditioning calling card to this president. And this president says, oh yeah, I like that idea. Let's make this guy my Attorney General. This is going to be my Roy Cohn. That's the phrase he was saying. I want this guy because, and everybody in the Senate said, are you going to be his Roy Cohn? Is this why you're asking for this job? Is this why you wrote that memo? Back in 2017, whenever the hell he wrote the memo. And he said, oh no, I'm a by the book, constitutional, whatever lies he told
He
them.
basically said he was a career professional and he would adhere to the law. But that was...
But guess what? The calling card was correct. Basically, he's not the Attorney General for the country. He is Donald Trump's personal lawyer. Rudy Giuliani runs around saying he's Donald Trump's personal lawyer. AG William Barr is Trump's personal lawyer. The latest example why people are up in arms is Roger Stone was convicted.
Yes.
Something like 6 to 9 counts of stuff, doing bad stuff that came out of the Mueller investigation. He actually got convicted, all right?
And that by itself was a surprise, that he did get convicted, but because I didn't trust the process. The fact that the process,
always skeptical.
Yes, but
right.
the fact that the process actually resulted in some convictions came as a surprise. And this was one of them.
I actually, based on the fact that Manafort bought it, and the record against Stone was so convincing and damning, I figured he was going to get caught.
Okay.
He went down just like I figured. And you were right to be skeptical.
Yes.
Because that attorney general was in office, that Justice Department had already been tainted, and so you had every right to be skeptical. But guess what? Those prosecutors, they played by the rules. They brought their case. They convicted this guy, and we should have actually looked it up, but it's at least 6, maybe 9 counts. The sentencing phase came up last week, and basically the prosecutors recommended. Now, I thought they should have thrown the book at him. They gave him a slap on the wrist, 6 to 9 years. That's the correct sentence, right?
Yes.
6 to
9 years. It was
6 to 9 years
right.
is what they said. He needs to do jail time. Our recommendation is you give him 6 to 9. I would have said give him the full thing, but that's me. And immediately after those prosecutors said that, there was a tweet from the president about how they're treating my buddy Roger Stone unfair. He's being treated worse than Al Capone and blah, blah, blah. And right after that tweet, here comes the Justice Department saying, oh, no, we don't stand by that recommendation that our prosecutors made for 6 to 9 years. No. We think
we'll revisit it.
Yeah, let's revisit that. We don't want you to listen to that, Your Honor. And so 4 prosecutors, 4 U.S. attorneys just said, 3 of them stepped back from the case.
They stepped back.
Said,
right.
I ain't doing this anymore. Y'all can put whatever you want on this case.
And these are career professionals.
Yes. Said, we're gone.
Yes.
We're not messing with this nonsense. After we gave you the recommended guidelines and you want to lessen it, the 4th guy said, hell, I quit.
Yes.
I don't work for you people anymore. He just resigned from the Justice Department. That's how pissed he was. So everybody kept saying, well, did the president put his hands on the scale? Did he? Hell yeah, you know he did. But the point of the matter is, well, he never made a call to Attorney General Barr, but yeah, right, he didn't make a call. Guess what? He tweeted the very next day something like, kudos to Attorney General Barr for making sure he took charge of that case and made sure Roger Stone wasn't persecuted, or whatever the tweet was. That was the gist of the tweet. The country is in an uproar.
Yes, it erupted.
Every major former attorney general, every professor of of law, not just constitutional law, they said, what is this?
Yes.
We have just totally destroyed our Justice Department as an impartial arbiter of the rule of law.
Now, the reason why we keep these laptops out while we're taping, and we're taping
the latest development.
Yes, we're taping on Thursday ahead of the Monday.
What's the latest on it? I
just opened it. ABC News is reporting an exclusive. I guess by the time you view this, it'll be old news. But here, I'm just going to read the headline.
Update our folks.
Barr blasts Trump's tweets. Impossible for me to do my job. ABC News exclusive. Let me just pull out the quote. In an exclusive interview, and this is from ABC News, Attorney General Bill Barr told ABC News on Thursday that President Donald Trump, quote, has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case, unquote, but should stop tweeting about the Justice Department because his tweets, quote, make it impossible for me to do my job. Barr's comments are a rare break with the president, who the Attorney General has aligned himself with, and that's what we're talking about, and fiercely defended. So this, even he is getting...
The pushback is so bad, folks,
yes,
that he's trying to duck for cover.
That's an excellent way to put it.
That's what he's trying to do,
yes.
Okay? The pushback on that craziness that he did hit the fan so hard and was so unexpected from him and the wacko in the White House,
yes,
that now he's running for cover, trying to make believe, Oh no, I wish he wouldn't be doing silly nonsense like that. I can't do my job properly. You ain't doing your job properly.
No.
You're busy covering for this guy, covering for his friends,
Yes.
stepping in where your career prosecutor said, give this guy 6 to 9. You go in and say, oh no, we don't want to do that. Hell, that's just one example of the crap. He went in there, put a spin on the Mueller report that was totally antithetical to what the report said.
Absolutely.
Mueller said to him, you have mischaracterized my report. That's
Yes.
an almost verbatim quote from Bob Mueller to Barr.
Well, Barr said that the report exonerated. He used that word, exonerated the president. And Mueller said,
You have mischaracterized my
Did you
report."
read this? Did you? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but basically he said, did you read this? Because it doesn't say that.
So I'm irate and incensed,
Yes.
as well as all these other people around the country, because what they have basically said to you, folks, you general public, yeah, the Senate threw it in your face when the House proved that this fool did what he did. He said he did what he did. The House impeached him, and the Senate said, well, let's just acquit him and go on with our business.
Yes.
They threw that in your face. And right after they threw that in your face, he comes right behind you and vindictively, that was one of the stories we were definitely going to cover, vindictively tries to do a vendetta on all the witnesses that testified in that impeachment hearing. Got rid of Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, fired Sondland, who was his $1 million donor that he turned into a very inexperienced ambassador to the EU, but the guy testified. He didn't say what he liked. He gone.
Right. It was automatic.
Fired this prosecutor. Well, she was supposedly moved to another job.
Yeah.
Liu, L-I-U.
Yeah, she was
US,
up.
Up for some Treasury office.
Yes.
Evidently didn't like what she said, what she did. All of a sudden, her confirmation hearing withdrawn.
Her nomination withdrawn. Exactly.
Withdrawn.
Yeah.
5 people. I mean, he just put the hammer down on them. And then up comes the sentencing for Roger Stone.
Yes.
And just to let you people know how arrogant and unconcerned he is, he tweets, something to the effect, worse than Al Capone being treated, blah, 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 that's so unfair. And they say, oh, we don't like that recommendation.
Yes.
And they step in. And people resign because they're pissed, because they have totally destroyed the justice department.
I admired it because they're career professional prosecutors and attorneys who just didn't want to give up their integrity to go along with this. That would have been an easy choice, and I bet you would have led to maybe a promotion or two if they had just gone along with it. But they decided, no, we're professionals. One resigned, but all 4 stepped back from the case.
Away from that case.
So let me just throw in one more quote from AG Barr. Apparently, as we shortly before we tape this, quote from Barr: "I think it's time to stop tweeting about the Department of Justice criminal cases." Unquote. Barr told ABC News chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas, a very good reporter, when asked if he was prepared for the consequences of criticizing the president, his boss, Barr said, of course, because his job is to run the Justice Department and make decisions on, quote, what I think is the right thing to do. So he's, like you said, he's starting to cover his chops.
Yes, he's ducking and running for cover because it's so blatant in your face that people just said, enough of this crap. I mean, Eric Holder put out a statement that says this is just so far off base, it's totally, I'm paraphrasing.
Yes, former Attorney General under Obama. Yes.
He just said this is just beyond the pale. That's my summation of Eric Holder's statement.
Yes. It was just beyond what he could handle.
Yeah, he just couldn't stomach that stuff. So,
trying to, since we do try to cover how the news media
handle it and cover the story. Yeah.
Now, I just want to show you how Fox covered it in a different way.
Yeah, let's listen.
And I'll
the fake news folk.
But
faux fake news.
we touched upon the Jussie Smollett case.
That's going to be one of the stories we're going to pick up.
Okay.
Update that. That's on our list.
Okay. Maybe we can segue through the story. But Fox News is reporting, and Jussie Smollett, he reported to the Chicago police that he had been a
victim of a hate crime.
Victim of a hate crime, noose around his neck.
Magma-wearing hat people calling him,
Yeah, right.
because he was a gay person.
Exactly. So and it turned out that he hired people to do this. So he was initially charged with faking this crime.
Right.
And then the Chicago prosecutor dropped the case.
Maybe we can't win this one, so let's pass.
But now he's indicted again.
Yeah, somebody they brought in a special investigator, a special person, prosecutor, whatever, to relook at the case.
But Fox is reporting that CNN and MSNBC are virtually ignoring the new Jussie Smollett indictments. They offer zero primetime coverage, and they go on to talk about how they haven't covered it. And then they go on to say, and I love this, I just want to quote them directly, if I can do it quickly. They basically said that you're not reporting about this, but you're spending all this time to talk about Barr and the U.S. Attorney. How the stories align, I don't know.
The fake news people think that Jussie Smollett being re-indicted is equally important as the Justice Department being decimated by an attorney general that's functioning as the president's private lawyer.
Yeah.
They think those stories have equal value.
Exactly. Yeah. And the CNN and MSNBC should be slapped. But go ahead, since we need to segue.
We understand the significance of what Barr and Trump has done to the Justice Department, which is why we led with that.
Yes.
But because we brought you the Jussie Smollett story when it was going on and talked about how ridiculous it was that he would even try something like that.
Yes.
And we're totally surprised when the charges got dropped.
Absolutely.
We actually spoke about the fact that that's an unusual development, especially for a black male, whether he's gay or not, to end up skating on one of those things.
Yes.
We made note of that at the time. Well, this new prosecutor or new special investigator that they brought in, he decided, well, I've looked at this again, and guess what? We're going to bring it before another grand jury, which they did.
That's what they did.
And that grand jury handed up or handed down, however people which were part of the country from, they hand them up or they hand them down an indictment.
Yes.
And I think about 6 counts. And so he now has to get back into the legal system about whether he's innocent or guilty. So that's the latest update on that. However, the wrinkle to that story, which caught my eye, is that same Chicago prosecutor who failed to bring the charges.
Who pulled them.
Said, I'm up for re-election. It's interesting to me that they're going to make this announcement 35 days before the election comes.
Okay.
So this black female prosecutor in Chicago is skeptical about this white special prosecutor who brought the re-indictment charges. So, folks, probably the re-indictment probably valid.
Probably justified.
Probably valid.
Yeah. I have no issue with that.
We're not even going to say that because we were skeptical when the first one got dropped.
Absolutely.
Probably valid. Timing, she may have a point about the timing.
Right.
So that's, we leave that for your judgment.
I mean, does it shock you that Chicago is the home for is shockingly the home of nasty politics? I mean, that's Chicago.
That's well, actually, I think they learned from Tammany Hall.
But
the bottom line is,
very good.
We got 2 major cities that are long known for political corruption, political shenanigans, and nothing has changed in the history of their existence.
Yes.
And
we have about 9 minutes.
But the Jussie Smollett we're going to give you that update. Yes. There was another story that broke that impeachment, and but it's basically it's a follow up to our Mideast peace plan
Yeah.
situation. Remember we were talking about the non-planned
The
plan
right,
that
the-
Jared Kushner had
Right.
laid out?
The plan without one of the participants.
No involvement.
Yeah.
Palestinians didn't get invited to the table.
Yes.
They were told, here's a plan, you take it or leave it, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I guess one of the fallouts of that tactic, the UN human rights people in Geneva, they basically had a meeting, or were preparing for a meeting. I think it happens on the 24th of February, something like that, if memory serves me correctly. But the preliminary meeting to the meeting was we're taking a look at human rights issues around the world and blah, blah, blah. So the key spokesperson, or maybe the head of that commission, she's put out a list last week, when you see this last week, listing all of the companies,
Yes.
international companies that do business, have an imprint, have a whatever with the disputed West Bank
Right.
territories,
The occupied
okay? The
companies that
occupied-
do business in the occupied territories. So we're not
okay?
talking about
Yeah, no,
non-disputed.
these are
Yeah.
the lands that are in dispute.
Right.
The fact that the international community has said this is really disputed territory.
Right.
Israel, you do not have rights to be doing anything here. This is part of what needs to be settled,
Right.
etc. ad infinitum, because it's been dragged on. That's what this peace plan was supposed to be addressing, this one-sided peace plan. And so, of course, the Trump administration is upset with the UN people. Benjamin Netanyahu is upset with the UN human rights people.
Yes.
The human rights people said in their statement, we're not saying these people are involved in human rights abuses. What we're saying is they are in a place doing business that might be contributing or is not the place they should be because it might foster
Right.
whatever.
No,
they didn't accuse any of the companies
Right.
of human rights abuses. They just said you shouldn't be there.
Right.
So they put out the list so it would be public. Trump administration, Netanyahu's people, says, oh, well, that might leave those companies open for boycotts and blah, 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 blah. So
Yes.
exactly right.
That would
Exactly right.
That would be the point.
That's the point.
Yes.
So all I got to say is the woman said, we're not accusing these people.
Right. No.
All we're saying is you shouldn't be there, you shouldn't be doing business, so we're going to let people know that you're there. Y'all can deal with it when the blowback hits you.
It's the same thing students did when I was a student to get companies to divest from South Africa. It's not like the companies were doing anything terrible, but you shouldn't be associated with an apartheid government. So, it's the same type of deal. But yesterday, or the day before on TV, the former PM of Israel, Ehud Olmert,
What do you have to say?
he actually had a meeting, and this was not an official meeting because he's not in office, with the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas. They had a chat. And he had an interview with, I believe it was ABC, one of the local channels. And he said, and he's a political master, he's trying not to insult anybody, but he said, you're not going to get any solution without them at the table. It has to be a two-state solution. And he spoke about the part of Jerusalem which he said shouldn't be worried about because there's no Jewish Israeli connection to that other part of Jerusalem that the Palestinians want to use. There's no reason for Israel to claim the entire city for its own. And he made such elegant arguments, but he said he's willing to at least assist in
trying to make this thing come to some kind of amicable discussion so it can move forward.
But he was extremely careful not to say anything bad about Trump. He wanted to maintain that relationship. But he did say that Netanyahu probably wouldn't be able to establish a government. It's going to be his third try at it. And he said, I'm more sorry for him because he's at a low point in his political career, actually, quite frankly, as it should be. But he actually made so much sense.
Olmert always was a thoughtful politician. And you can say he's quite diplomatic.
Yes. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know. In the short time we have, there was another story that I wanted to bring to our attention.
You have about 3.5 minutes. Go ahead.
I can't find the link right now, but the wall.
Yeah,
The southern wall. There is the bottom line is they're desecrating Native American graves.
I saw
and
that
they're
story.
Desecrating Saharan cacti, that's endangered species of vegetation or whatever. And so there are two things. The sacred lands of Native American people, their graves are being totally dynamited and destroyed and blown up to make way for more wall fencing, whatever, for this wacko in the White House, so he can keep his campaign promises. And the land management, environmental people are upset about the cacti, and of course, the people are upset about the native graves being destroyed. And Grijalva, the senator from Arizona, he's out there by himself trying to figure out a way to stop this, because the president can waive any kind of law that protects anything in, quote, his national emergency, whatever powers to build his defensive wall. That's what it's being classed as. Okay?
I see.
And so they have waived those things that say you can't desecrate lands of sacred lands.
In favor of sort of, not quite, but sort of declaring a national emergency.
Yeah, right,
whatever. It has, that's the logic.
That's the logic of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can destroy your graves because there's an emergency, we have to build this wall. That's a story that's not getting any play in our media per se. I think the BBC and the Guardian, British people actually picked up on that story. I'm glad I caught it. I think it was on somebody's Facebook feed that I picked up on. You got to.
This is from the Business Insider. They're not the primary reporting agency,
but they're a good aggregator.
Yes,
they're a good aggregator.
The site is located inside Arizona's Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument on land adjacent to the Tohono O'odham Nation. Right. So we only have a minute, but that's where it is.
And it's their graves.
Yes.
And Apache warriors. Basically, what they did, warring tribes understood to respect their dead, and so they actually buried both warring sides in sacred native lands. So they have Apache and whomever, and they buried them to pay tribute to their dead.
Because they're okay.
It didn't matter if they were battling each other, but when I read the story, I was really impressed with the fact that those folks had enough gravitas and enough respect for their ancestors, their sacred tradition, to put those people in the ground together.
15
and now
seconds.
It's gone.
Yes.
So, well, we're out of time.
Yes.
There were a couple of others, but we'll get to them the next time. This has been Media Watch. I'm your co-host, Eric Tait.
I'm Bob Anthony. You can catch up to us on YouTube and Twitter at Media Watch EVT.
And we'll catch you the next time, folks.